The Tomlinson model for differentiation recognizes that differentiation is a proactive response to the needs of all learners in a classroom. How a teacher differentiates is through learning profile, interest, and readiness. Learning profile refers to the multiple intelligence theories of Gardner and Steinberg, which require teachers to provide a wide variety of activities so that all students can learn in their strongest intelligence. Interest refers to how teachers play on the passions of students and relate the topics and skills to their own personal lives. And readiness refers to the entry levels of each student that are attained through pre-assessments in an effort to level and tier assignments and activities for all students so that they are appropriate. Before I move forward, I also would like to mention the what's of differentiation are content, process, and product. Content refers to the resources and materials offered to students to learn a particular topic. Process refers to the student-centered activities teachers design to ensure students can comprehend, apply, and utilize the important skills in the real world. And product is how students demonstrate their level of understanding of a particular concept. Now, the three hows of differentiation and the what's of differentiation can create this chart of 9 different ways to differentiate in the classroom. I've filled out this chart to reflect how I utilize differentiation in my classroom on a daily basis in an effort to reach the needs of all students in my remediation class. Through Learning Profile, I offer Khan Academy videos as a supplement to the lectures I provide in class. Some students need to see the closed captioning as well as hear it from someone else before they can fully comprehend what is going on. I offer music videos when we're doing adding and subtracting integers so that students know that same signs add and different signs should subtract when you're adding and subtracting. And then I've recently included Poplets now, which are flowcharts where I provide students both the correct and incorrect process in solving or simplifying order of operations expressions. The students' tasks are to highlight the correct method to solve, parentheses before exponents, exponents before multiplication, division, and then addition and subtraction at the very end. Now, I am not making any exceptions for the content. Everyone will learn the same overall objective. It's just through a different approach. The process of how I differentiate, I offer whole class lectures at the beginning of class, which are 10 to 15 minutes, and then I break students up into independent and group work. Independent works for the students that prefer to work by themselves, while group work allows for students to collaborate with their peers and critique the reasoning of others in order to find the correct solution process. A great activity I use towards the beginning of the semester is the number line activity to model and simulate number competency. Students are given rational and irrational numbers, decimals, fractions, everything, and they must line themselves in order without talking. And then we do this process again towards the end of the unit after students gain perspective of how to evaluate and how to compare numbers using a variety of skills. Products include tests, posters, projects, and oral presentations. I do have a student that prefers to talk rather than fill out a test, so I will ask the questions in a similar fashion to the way they are on a test, and I will complete the answers for them. Projects, I have a wide variety of projects, including a water park project for students to demonstrate their understanding of slope and writing and graphing of linear equations. Posters for students to show their understanding of inequalities and solving inequalities. And then the standard test form, because unfortunately my classroom is tied to a standardized test, I also have to include these, but I break them down into smaller quizzes so they're more manageable and chunked for students. Interest. In my classroom, I do my best to bring the real-world applications as much as possible into my classroom During my data unit of study, I allow students to analyze sports, music and artists, and then their own personal life as far as how they spend their time during a typical day versus how they spend their time during the summer. Students are able to be an expert in their own specific area of choice, as well as it ties into the content and the curriculum of what is required for the Algebra 1B course that I provide through Math Lab. The process are 3 activities: I-search, orbitals, and centers, which we've recently discussed in class. I prefer to use centers, and I frequently do use them. The 3 ways I showed in my last presentation on centers, and I continue to use, are representing data. Students are given a bunch of points and are asked to plot them in some type of form, whether it be a box and whisker plot, a stem and leaf, or a pie chart, etc. They have the option to choose which method they would like to present the data. Interpreting the data, students are given charts already pre-assembled and must interpret data and figure out what is the best course of action and predict future results based off of what they are seeing. And then the interest data, which ties into the real-world application of sports, music and artists in their personal life. Having students compare songs and compare artists to see who is on an uptrend and who's on a downtrend, as well as in the sports world as well. Finally, the product, again, I've already referenced this, is I have some students display physical data either by computer or by hand using Excel or PowerPoint to design on their computer, and then by hand they have more freedom. Students also can read reports either orally or write the reports out in an effort to demonstrate their understanding, as well as for more of the interest-based activities. They can compare and contrast sports teams and identify new songs and artists that are on an uptrend or songs that are on a downtrend based off of data that they've been analyzing. Readiness is leveled content or tiered activities. In particular, I reference order of operations activities. This is one that I use primarily. The assignment's tiered into 2-step order of operations, 3-step order of operations, and multi-step order of operations to kind of push students who are excelling at the concept. As I mentioned, I use tiered assignments frequently in this unit. It's compacted for the stronger students, so the multi-step problems are usually the first ones they will do, and if I'll give them less, I'll give them 1 or 2, so they can really demonstrate their understanding and then apply them to how we utilize it in solving linear equations. At the beginning of the year, this is one of my first concepts. I provide a learning contract similar to my syllabus, which outlines the goals and expectations for students. Something I am going to do moving forward after talking more about learning contracts this week is have students perform weekly learning contracts, which I would like them to develop their own goals and expectations as far as how they plan to perform on this assessment, how they plan to produce their data. Generally, for the most part, because this is a standardized course, I provide tests. I do modify tests to meet the needs of all students. I change the font. Sometimes I will include bold and italicized and underlined words to help with readability. Extended time is offered to my students, as well as I can read aloud questions to students to help them if they're struggling in these areas. Differentiation is, instrumental in being an effective educator, and if you can differentiate to all the 3 whats and 3 hows, you can run a successful classroom on a daily basis. I found very powerful in the one video it said that if you know 1 or 2 concepts, you can differentiate for lessons, and that's great. But if you understand all the whats and all the hows of differentiation, you can run a truly effective classroom to meet the needs of all students and offer opportunities for all of them to succeed based off of their interest.